Welcome to another episode of the Journey Up podcast. I'm your host, Tyrus Duncan, and the Journey Up podcast is a storytelling podcast that dives deep into personal journeys through life's darkest hours and the resilience it takes to rise again. Each episode features a guest who shares a raw, unfiltered account of one of the lowest points in their life and the trials and tribulations they faced. Listeners will hear about the challenges, breakthroughs, and the strength it took to overcome adversity. Today, my guest is a big artist here in the city of Indianapolis and soon to be the world. He's a great person, a great friend. He always has some great insight, and I'm glad for you guys to get to meet him. Today, I have Dead Silence.
My God.
My brother, how you doing today?
Man, I ain't even gonna hold you a little tired, but I feel good though. It's like a good tired. Not like you got good and bad tired. It's just lots of emotion, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's the tired when you know you've done something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something that takes like a couple of months or it may be a year, and now you can finally like kick back a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Like I said, I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad to get into hearing about your journey and just hearing and learning more about who you are. Absolutely. But before we start, I have a tradition that I do on the show. I have this card game called We're Not Really Strangers. Mm-hmm. And I pick from it and I ask a question, and I'll just have you answer the question, and then I'll answer the question as well.
That's good.
Let's see. Oh, 2 wild cards. Not doing those. So sorry. I'm waiting for them to sponsor me one day, so I probably shouldn't say crazy stuff. Okay. Interesting. What is my body language telling you right now?
That you're at ease, and that you've probably been waiting a minute for this moment. Yeah.
For sure. For sure. That's crazy you say that, because I think I maintain a calm presence constantly. And sometimes on the inside, I feel totally different than what my presence is bringing. Not right now, but a lot of the times, people be like, why are you always so calm? Or how are you always so calm? I'm like, man, if only y'all knew in the midst of the calm is some chaos.
They don't get it, man.
That yin-yang. Because in the middle of it, it'd be a little tough.
I feel you, man. I get the same thing, too. In fact, it was a music video that I recently dropped, and one of my homegirls reached out, and she was like, yeah, what were you trying to portray in your music video? Like, were you angry? How'd you feel? And I was like, no, a little bit of everything. And she was like, well, I've never seen you angry. I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, some things don't have to be shown.
Yeah.
As long as we're keeping it real with ourselves about our emotions. So.
Right. I would say the same thing about you. I would say you always, every time I see you, you seem pretty calm.
Yeah.
I've never seen you not calm.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. For the people who don't know you, could you give some people a little bit of history about who you are?
Yeah, so, and I'm going to go way deeper than just music, because often we identify ourselves by, like, what we do. But who I am, laid back, genuine, kind, peaceful dude, stay out the way, and I love being involved with the youth, arts, creativity. I even like working out, you know what I'm saying, just helping people get to where they want to be at, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, providing that safe space.
Yeah.
Just being a chill dude,
Yeah. You said way deeper than the artist.
Yeah.
So you as a person just been the genuine person who cares about people.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
But you as an artist, how long have you been an artist?
Man, so I first started writing when I was like 9. I just hit 30. Morgan Freeman vibes. I first started recording when I was 15, and I first started taking music on a professional note seriously around like 23. I didn't start finding my style and my niche in music until I hit by like 27, 28.
So very recently.
Yes, it's just constant phases and transitions of it. So, I mean, it's crazy, dang near 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where did the name Dead Silence come from?
So, and this is the raw, unfiltered truth about it. I got caught up in some things that I shouldn't have been involved in. And long story short, I had to chill out and I had to relax. So I'm doing things back to back. I'm hanging out with the wrong types of folks. And, at the time, I'm just doing what I need to do regarding, my financial status. And I came across a moment to where I had to chill out. It involved me going to the mailbox one day, just random. This is after I've been caught doing back-to-back things, Then all of a sudden, I see a helicopter coming nearby, and I'm like, keep in mind, I'm paranoid after, the things that I've been going through with my homies at the time. And right when I get into the mailbox, the helicopter literally flies right over me, and it just sits. And I'm like, oh, man, I hope this ain't the day. I'm thinking, like this is it or something like that. I didn't realize that at the time somebody got shot next door of where I lived at. I lived in Orlando at the time. So I didn't know that they was trying to look for the dude that got shot. But at the time, I'm thinking it's me. I'm thinking I'm tripping. So I walk away a little bit from my mailbox. The helicopter moves. And then I walk back right where the mailbox was. And then the helicopter moved exactly where I was. So I'm thinking, I really think this is it. Helicopter flies away 5 minutes later. And then I walk back to my apartment. And then I sit on my futon. And that's when I told myself, Miles, you need to be dead silent and get it together. Like, told myself that. So one of those moments in life to where you tell yourself, like, you fed up with your own BS type of thing. I needed that. I needed to be dead silent in that moment to get myself together. So that's where dead silence comes from.
That's powerful. I never would have thought that was where the name came from.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now when you go around and people call you that, what do you get from that?
Honestly, I don't feel a way about it at all. The only thing that does feel weird, and it didn't start happening until a couple of years ago, which is crazy, but I never forget, somebody went up to me and they was like, hey, yo, Dad, what's up with you? And that felt so weird, just, with my journey of life and how much I've grown and, how much we redefine things the more that we grow and learn. And then, for somebody to call me Dad, I was like, seems a little weird,
Yeah.
But I just get that people like to really appreciate the type of music that I project onto the world, for real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you hope that people get from your music?
I hope that people get from my music that it's never too late. It's never too late to get it together. It's never too late to create. It's never too late to start over. It's never too late to bounce back. It's never too late to give yourself that chance. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes we go through things in life to where it's like, man, this is it. Or you know what? I feel like giving up.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to take a break, but don't give up though.
Yeah.
Because I've experienced those moments in my life.
Right.
So I get it.
And we'll get there.
Yeah.
And I know your music has taken you a bunch of places, whether it just be your voice or you in general. What's your favorite memory that music has brought you thus far?
Oh, man, favorite memory. Performance-wise, shout out to Mariah Ivy. And we opened up for Dougie Fresh. This is at the Madam Walker Theater, the Legacy Center. And I never forget opening up, and I'm around all these dope MCs, good people too. And it was right before I was about to rap my bars. And I'm like, yo, if y'all say rock with me, y'all say rock with me, I say rock with me. And then the crowd said rock with me. And keep in mind, this is like a good amount of people.
Yeah.
And how the stage and the concert is set up. You hear these echoes and they bounce off the walls. So I'm in my zone and I close my eyes and I'm just thinking to myself, this sounds so amazing. Like hearing all those people say, rock with me. And I repeated the same thing like 5 times and it got to my verse. That was the most monumental thing ever. It was like God. Like all these people like saying, rock with me. Like definitely a moment God bestowed upon me. Like, wow, amazing.
I always think of that moment as have you seen the Disney movie Soul?
Oh yeah.
So when they get in that blue moment, it's where like they're really in their zone.
Oh yeah.
When you really in your zone, you really feel that.
Yeah, yeah.
is like God.
Boom. Yeah, for real.
And I tell people when they're looking for the passions or whatever, if you haven't seen that movie, I pray that you go and watch that movie because it's really life changing and it helps with a lot of different perspectives on when it comes to life purpose. Because even at the end, after him experiencing his zone, and he realized the most powerful thing is to just be. It makes all the moments just more precious. But when you're looking for that moment or you're looking for that purpose, quote unquote, when you feel as if time doesn't exist and you feel like you're just floating and you feel like you're one with God, maybe that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So in that moment where you hit, the crowd was repeating what you were saying, and you're about to give them a whole experience, that was that moment for you.
Yeah, that was speechless, priceless. Yeah, man.
Do you remember the first time ever experiencing that?
Oh, man, my first performance when I was 15, I opened up for Zapp and Roger. I'll never forget that. This was right across where they had, it was like what? No. Black Diamond Barbecue. Used to be on 63rd Bedford. And one of them people put me on to have that slot. And I'll never forget performing like my, 3 to 4 records. I get off a stage, and I'm 15 years old, right? I never forget this little kid. He was number like 7 or 8 years old, and he ran up to me, and he put his fist out. He was like, yo, you're dope. And I was like, well, right on, little man. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you. You know, I hope you keep on doing what you want to do in life. And never forgetting your passion and your purpose. So that was my first time.
Man, that's beautiful. He's only 7 or 8. Huh?
Yeah, little kid.
You said you're an educator, right?
Yeah.
What age group do you work with in education?
So I've been working across like K through 12 for the past 8.5 years. Majority of the time I work with middle schoolers and high schoolers. Yeah.
Do you enjoy doing that?
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie. Like the only thing, it's never the kids. It's always the adults.
Always the systems.
Man. Yeah. And that's exactly, you hit the nail on the head. It's the systems. And I really hope and pray that we just create systems or develop systems or change these systems to where it benefits the youth instead of adults' pride and ego. That's the main thing killing these kids.
Yeah. These systems are out of control. Yeah. And I've learned that not a lot of people know how or want to or like to challenge the system because they're like, well, it is what it is, or this is a policy. And I see a lot in leadership. The focus is more so on policy than people. If you focus on policy more than people, you're going to lose the people because you can't have a one-size-fits-all glove to people who got different hand sizes.
Exactly.
So it's like we're putting this one-size-fits-all policy on all these different people, and it's like you need to adhere to my policy or else. When in reality, there's some leeway that we could kind of manipulate things to make it work or just redefine the system in general. Because a lot of these systems are outdated and a lot of us people are different than the systems that we're working in. So for us to go into these systems, like, that's not how things are no more. Like people are actually coming alive and like, understanding their emotions. I think we're in a time where people are expressing their emotions more than ever.
Absolutely.
And it's not like 30 years ago, someone didn't like a job. They'll just stay there and work it just because that's what they're supposed to do. But now we're at a time people don't like the job. They're not coming tomorrow.
Yeah, for real. That's a fact.
Because you're able to, just go find something else just like that. And a lot of the stuff doesn't require a lot of thinking. So you get to get trained on the job or whatever. But I think it's time for us to redefine the policies and focus more on the people. What is the biggest struggle that you see when it comes to policy within the education system that you work in that you think could be more centered around the youth?
Understanding. I think that's the biggest thing. And there's two types of things. And I say it like this. Are you willing to understand people? Or are you willing to be fixated upon what you think is best for everybody? And
because it's not the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why things need to change. Like you said, not everything fits everybody. Everything's situational.
Yeah.
This kid could be going through something to where like, hey, he needs a couple of chances, as every grown person deserves chances too. So people just need to be understanding, man. Everybody's been through a lot, has gone through a lot, and we need to start being open-minded when it comes down to our perspective on
Absolutely.
things. You feel what I'm saying?
The lack of empathy is killing generations.
Man, so much.
The lack of ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, to try to understand what they're going through. It's not like you're going through it, but to at least try to understand and put yourself in the situation, the mindset of, man, this must be hard for this person. And how could I best serve this person by not taking advantage of the fact that they're going through a hard time? Because people also would do that.
True.
And it's like every man for themselves. Every man saves himself. And with Jesus being my mentor, I understand the power of giving your life for others and the life that comes after that. So it's like to understand that maybe you have to sacrifice yourself for the salvation of somebody else. That's very powerful. The Bible said there is no greater love than a man lay down his life for his friends. So like we ain't even asking you, you ain't gotta lay down your life, but at least put yourself in a position to try to empathize with somebody and try to understand all that they've been through makes them who they are today. And maybe they didn't have the tools, the correct tools to work with what they had to build what they needed so they could be successful, whatever that means. So like to try to empathize with people. I don't know if there's a greater skill in leadership than that, or a greater tool that you need to be a great leader, the ability to empathize. I mean, God empathized with man so much that he came down as man. That's empathy. That's empathy. And I'm not even saying we got to trade places with people, but try to at least just mentally put yourself in the position of somebody else to try to understand, oh, that's why you act like this. That's why you do this. And then upon that, the grace that's needed through that. It's like reminding people of the grace that they need. What is grace? The opportunity after failure. A lot of people may have failed, right? And sure, they may have been the cause. They may have not been the cause. But to remind somebody that they have opportunity after failure is a pathway of getting people to understand success for themselves. If you don't even remind people of the grace, and I think that we owe it to each other, right? We live in such a selfish generation right now where people only think about themselves, and it's like I can only control me, so it doesn't matter about what everybody else thinks or is doing. I don't think we understand how much we do or say to the people around us actually affects them in their lives, but it does tremendously. Oh yeah, tremendously. Like to just look at somebody and say, hey, how are you doing today? I hope you have a great day. That could trigger them into having a good day. Whereas if you call them out of their name, that could trigger them into having a bad day. And that creates a ripple effect to where they're treating other people bad because they've been done bad. You see that a lot of times in the education system with children who you can tell don't have a strong family system at home. They'll come to school and they'll take it out on the kids around them, i.e. bullying. Like they say most bullies have been bullied before, right? Facts. And sometimes it's not by other children, it's by their own parents. So who is that person to step in and say, no, you don't have to act like this. I can show you the love that you need. I can show you how you should interact with the different people around you because it is important. It is very important.
It's a fact, bro. It's tough because people got to be willing to do the work. And the tough thing about doing the work is all the things that was fed to you when you was a kid, when you was a teen, when you was a adult in your earlier years. A lot of things were programmed for people to just be like, all right, here you go. This is how you should think. This is what you should believe. This is how you should carry yourself. Instead of you learning for yourself, you being comfortable with your emotions, knowing how to self-regulate, knowing these healthy coping mechanisms, you know what I'm saying, instead of just projecting all this energy that you internalize onto so many people that don't even deserve it. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it takes a lot.
Yeah, and most of the time that internalized energy comes out, especially in us as black men. Oh, yeah. It comes out as anger. Oh, yeah. Because we haven't been given the vocabulary to deal with how we feel. And, I mean, we know frustration arises when you don't know how to do what you're supposed to be doing. So if you don't have the vocabulary to talk about how you feel, and you're just going through feeling all these emotions, all you're left with is anger and frustration. And then you know how that comes out. Now we fighting, now we killing, now we calling each other out their names. Now we just doing people all types of bad because we don't know how to deal with how we feel.
Exactly. And I can relate 100% to it because, man, before I knew what I knew, like, I can easily identify these faces in life to where I wouldn't even treat myself like a friend. So how can I expect people around me to even be my friend?
Right.
I ain't even treated myself like how I want to be treated.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's different to when I'm like, now I get it. But back then when I was 15 to 18, I didn't get it. Especially when I was 19 to 22, I didn't get it. But when I hit 23, it hit different.
I mean, that is the age right there, 23, to where you start thinking like, man, wait a minute.
Yeah.
18, 19, you think you know everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
20, you still kind of think you know everything. And then at 21, 22, you start realizing like maybe I don't know everything. Because I think there's a idea of freedom that's attached with the age of 21. And then when you get there, and it's like, wait a minute, this is not like I thought it was going to be. And 22 is like, this really ain't what I thought it was going to be. And 23 is like, I just stepped out, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So then it's kind of like rebuilding from there. Like, where do I go now?
Yeah.
But speaking of the phases in your life, I think it's time for you to take me to the lowest moment that you ever experienced. And let's talk about how you overcame it.
Lowest moment in my life. The lowest moment in my life. So I survived a three-story burning apartment building. And I never forget trying to escape the apartment building and dropping to the ground. Just the full story. Dropping to the ground after I made it out, and I'm coughing up all black, and that's from the smog, the smoke. And even before then, I barely made it out, and thought I was gonna die inside the building. And I covered my eyes. I never forget saying, "God, if this is it, this is it." I can't see nothing. It's too hot for me to open my eyes. I couldn't hear nothing but alarms. And I got stuck on the second floor. And I don't know what happened. I didn't take those last 13 to 15 steps from the second to the first floor. Something took me from the second floor to the first floor. And then I felt a nudge. And the back just go. And I'm scared. I'm in shock. I'm like, I don't know what I'm walking towards. But I got to do something. And I started seeing a light, and I realized I'm on the first floor. So I don't know what that spirit angel was. I have no idea. And that's when I went out, dropped to the floor, coughing up everything. I look at my hands, and then I see that some of my skin is literally peeling off. And then when the adrenaline wore off, I never forget feeling all that pain. I would have wished it on my worst enemy. And I look up at the sky, and I yell out the biggest scream of my life, feeling those first, second, and third degree burns. Two people that didn't even know me from a can of paint. They took me to the second ambulance that pulled up to the neighborhood, and they threw me right in the back of the ambulance, and they shot me up with some fentanyl and a couple of other things to numb the pain, and I still felt it. Being an Eskenazi, pulled up, I'm all black, looking crazy, just covered in smoke, and I felt my throat getting like real congested, like swelling up. And the doc said, "Hey, just in case, I'm gonna put this breathing tube down you." And I woke up the next day and I couldn't speak, couldn't talk. And I needed a feeding tube as well. I couldn't walk. My ears were damaged. I couldn't do nothing. I only made it out with my keys and my wallet. Everything else burnt to a crisp. It was tough. I thought, I was going prepare for, new beginnings and, new success. And it was like, I dang near lost everything. The only thing that I had was family. And not to take that for granted whatsoever, there was people caught up in that, they didn't have no family. So, I don't take that for granted whatsoever. And my lowest moment was feeling so much pain when I was at Eskenazi, mentally, spiritually, physically, psychologically, everything, to where I felt a new type of pain. And that pain was my soul. I can literally feel my soul. It was like in the middle of my heart. And when I felt that pain, that hit different. Physical, we could heal from that situation. Emotional, it's tough to heal from. But when it's your soul, it's a different type of pain. And I'll never forget looking at the nurse. I'm like, hey, I need to call my mom. I need to talk to somebody. I need to do something. So that was the worst. And the bottom of the barrel of my life is feeling all that pain. How I got through it, I did a lot of counseling sessions, group counseling sessions, therapy. I think, I was with a therapist at the time. Then I fell back from therapy. Just things weren't going the way that I wanted it to go. Then I realized, like, hey, you know what? My timing ain't God's timing. And when it's time, you gonna know. Sometimes signs got to be bestowed upon you so that you know what it is, instead of you having this imaginary magic button of when things supposed to happen. So I went through a couple of sessions, a couple of therapists, and I'm with somebody right now, therapy-wise, good to go. Like literally after here, I'm going to that dude, same therapist. So I'm still actively in therapy, and I'm doing better. I even started getting back in the gym, getting back into shape. It was tough looking in the mirror when I got discharged from the hospital and seeing all those drugs that they had. My stomach just plotched, got bigger. And that was, it was kind of disgusting to see.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'm
dang,
sure.
I was putting in work. Like,
Yeah.
I really liked how my body looked, like just how I'm navigating through life.
Yeah.
And got at the hospital, I'm big and chunky. And
Yeah.
like,
I'm sure that led to some identity issues.
absolutely.
Who is this?
Yeah.
Oh man, that was around what, like 3 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah.
2 years. I remember when that happened. I didn't know you personally then, but like I said, you've been an artist in the community of Indianapolis. I keep up with the artists and everything, and I remember someone had posted it, and I read through it, and I was like, man, this is just heartbreaking, because I think just the thought of all of your stuff catching on fire, and not only that, you've been caught in the fire and sustaining injuries through that has to be a traumatic experience. And I mean, I want to even encourage, not really encourage, but I want the listeners to put themselves mentally in that place just to even imagine how it feels to lose everything that you've had, that you worked on, all of that. And not only to lose it all, but to go through it and get burnt, literally get burnt.
Yeah.
And not just literally physically get burnt, but spiritually and soul burnt. Had to be tough. And I'm appreciative and happy that you're still here today to share your story. Because the power behind going through a fire and coming out, whether you got burnt or you didn't get burnt, that's grace.
Yeah. Facts.
The opportunity that comes after the loss is everything. Because for some people, it could have been over, lost it all. And although the building isn't there no more, although your stuff isn't there no more, you're still here. And our lives been the most precious gifts that we have. I'm sure it has helped you appreciate life more.
Oh, yeah. And my condolences. Somebody did die. So it is totally different when you're in a situation in a building and you don't know who's going through what. You don't know who made it out. You don't know who got injured. But you got a good amount of people in the building. I never forget, right before I went down the stairs, going outside of my door, and in the back, I hear kids. And they hit different. Like, man, hopes and prayers up to everybody, for real.
How have you looked at life differently coming out of that?
Man, I think my biggest thing is you just never know. And I know this cliche to say, but I mean that from a perspective of like, literally anything could happen. That situation happened, and I didn't know that 24 hours before then, another building caught on fire. And then after that, oh yeah, so it was before and after that, but then like a span of 24 hours. It was an apartment building in Carmel. Boom. And that fire was crazy. That was even crazier. And then I think it was before then when that situation happened. It was a senior citizen home. And I think it was like, I think a gas tank on the side of a wall, random, boom. People injured. So you just, man, you never really know. And then after that, I'll never forget, it was a month after I got discharged. And rest in peace to my cousin. He dropped to the floor. Took him to the ambulance, and he died on his way to the hospital. You just never know. He's getting his health together. He was getting in shape, doing his thing. And then right when it's like, yo, he's making all this progress, boom, collapsed. So you just never know. Yeah, don't take nothing for granted. Don't take no moment for granted.
It's so easy to.
Yeah.
Just take the moments for granted and to just not understand the blessing of the day.
Yeah.
Because, some people say you can be here today and gone tomorrow. Yeah. But to even make it more real, you can be here today and gone today.
Yeah, exactly. The next hour, the next minute, any increment of time.
Just literally just like that.
Yeah.
Just like that. I had a cousin. He was older, and he had gotten sick. He wasn't sick too long, but he had gotten sick. And he had dropped his daughter off at school. He got back home, passed away in the driveway. So it's like, that's how fast it could happen. And we often neglect, like I said, the gift of life. And I know I'm one, which is why I'm kind of caught in silence, because I realize how much I do neglect the gift of life. And not just the gift of life, but the gift of relationships and the gift of conversation and communication with the ones that we love, and the opportunity to do the things that we love and to experience our favorites while we're still here. We're so often to complain about what we don't have and who we don't have, and we neglect to be thankful or grateful. And it's always a tricky thought for me, the idea of just thankfulness and gratefulness, because I think people use it at the wrong reasons. I'm at the wrong times.
True.
When someone is speaking of a hope or an aspiration or a dream, and someone's like, you should be thankful for what you have. I'm not speaking of it in that sense, but I'm speaking it in the sense of no matter where you are and no matter what you're doing, do not forget where you came from, and don't neglect the things that you do have. And I'm not saying that you can't dream or you can't hope or you can't have aspirations. Matter of fact, please do have hope and aspirations, because that is the gasoline to this thing we call life.
Absolutely.
But what I'm saying is, regardless of where you are, love those around you and love the moment that you're in. Sure, it could be worse. And I also hate when people, like when I'm feeling down and someone comes and they're like, well, you know, other people have it worse.
Yeah, man.
And I'm like, that's unfortunate. And if I feel like this and other people have it worse, God be with them. You know what I mean? Because I think people say that to try to get you to come back to self in a moment of gratitude. But to just acknowledge that somebody is feeling bad goes a long way.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be dismissive towards how people feel. Like,
and it's so quick. I think people do that in the mindset of help, in the vocabulary of just repeating what they've heard said to them. But I think a healthier way to help somebody who is going through it when they're coming to you and they're talking about how they feel is not to compare their pain, but to just listen to their pain. Because a lot of times we'll help ourselves with our own words. And as we're speaking, because I'm sure you're in therapy, I've been to therapy, I've seen a lot of therapists, and I know the greatest therapists are the ones who listen right.
Facts.
And the ones who ask the right questions in between to help you unfold what it is that you're dealing with, to help you unfold the trauma that you've experienced. Not somebody who's going to say, oh, other people have it worse than you.
Yeah, exactly.
You shouldn't feel bad. So-and-so up the street had this happen to them. Or so-and-so had this happen to them. It's like, that's very unfortunate for them. But how I feel is how I feel.
Exactly.
And I think even from the point of empathy, some people can't empathize with others because they can't deal with how they feel first. So the ones who are able to empathize are the ones who have to put themselves in the position to listen, to help that person unfold the trauma that they're going through. It goes a long, long way. A long way. And I'm trying to prop myself on never saying that, oh, other people have it worse, because I understand how it feels.
Oh, yeah. And you don't want people putting your emotions to the side when you're having a moment of vulnerability. And I'm just saying, it's tough for us black men when it comes down to how we feel about how we feel. Like, it's okay to have those emotions. Now, what you do with those emotions,
Different.
you got to be mindful, but
Yeah.
process how you feel. Like, I was telling my homie the other day, I'm like, I allow myself to be angry. Now, what I do with that anger, I gotta, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Think and woosah and breathe, but how I feel is how I feel.
And that's a good good distinction there, to continue to feel your emotion. Yeah. I'm not saying don't run away from anything, but to find out why you're feeling that way so you could avoid it happening when whatever triggers you happens again. That's where the power comes, right? So it's like, I'm angry because this situation happened. So when you know that because on the opposite side of why I'm angry, it helps you when you get in these situations again. I remember when I did this and it made me angry, so I'm not going to do this time. I remember when I gave this person the opportunity to do this with me and I didn't like how they made me feel, so I'm not going to put myself in that position this time. So learning to put the boundaries in the correct place to protect your value, which is your time, attention, and energy, right? When you learn how to protect your value and you don't let people control how you feel, that's when you become powerful. That's when that emotional intelligence is one of the most powerful tools that we can have.
Thanks.
But I think even the hard part about that, like, I can be emotionally intelligent, you could be emotionally intelligent, and we go outside dealing with people who are not emotionally intelligent. So that requires a whole lot of patience and reminding myself, I'm like, maybe they don't understand because they haven't done the work to try to even understand why they're feeling the way that they do. And most people haven't, because who has taught them? How can you hear without a preacher, right? How could he talk unless he's been taught? How could he listen unless someone says? Which is the power of you behind the artist and bringing real life things that you deal with into your artistry for people to actually feel. That's power. That's the sword. We not fighting with actual swords now. Now we fighting with the word. And I think the Bible said that the word is more powerful than the sword. So now we didn't take away the swords, and now all we got is our word. We really better prompt ourselves on saying things the right way.
It's deep, man. It's deep. Like, I didn't realize how deep it was until, so I dropped a song called Vanilla Bean. And The thing has been around the world and back, like viral. So it's dope seeing like people post videos out in Indonesia and Russia and like Africa and Mexico. They got another beat in the background. Now I can track the metadata, so I see like who's uploading my audio to their video clips and their reels. And I'll never forget, somebody reached out to me one day and they was like, I'm so glad I came across your song. I think this one was out in like somewhere in the Middle East. She said, I'm so glad I came across your song because at the time I'm dealing with baby daddy. Don't want to take on the responsibility for the kid. The kid's going through it. She's trying to get in school. She's having trouble in school. She's going through some things at work. She's inside the crib with, I think, like 3 other family members. They going through it. So all this weight's on her, financial stress, the physical, emotional. And then she was like, yo, I came across Vanilla Bean. That instantly cheered me up. And I said, dang.
Power.
And this is across halfway on the other side of the world. The fact that we can have this exchange, I said, dang, that's love. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that is the sword.
Yeah.
That energy.
Yeah. How did that make you feel?
Man, I dang near cried. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like I'm so appreciative when my music has that type of effect. It's one of the best things ever, especially when it comes down to like intervening in people's situations like that. Like, yo, here's some pure happiness. Like, here you go. It's just give yourself 3 minutes, close your eyes, and listen to one of my records. Boom. I guarantee you at the end of that, you're going to feel a different type of way. I promise you.
Do you keep that thought process while you're writing or creating?
I think, you know what? No, I can't say I think. I know that I approach music in a flow. So my goal is to say, not how do I complement the beat, but how do I mesh in with the beat? Like it's a spiritual thing for me. Mm-hmm. And spiritual in terms of like I break down the beat, the harmonies, the melodies, tones, pitches, lyrics, wordplay, delivery, all that. And then I map it out to where I say, how can this be a smooth flow since when they first hit play, 0 seconds to the end of the song? How can I make this as smooth as possible so it's a constant flow?
That's a lot of intention.
So yeah, I'm playing the beat like a good couple of 100 times at least before I even hit the studio. So by the time I hit the studio, I know exactly how I want it to sound. I know how it should be. I know how everything should just flow. Mm-hmm. Knowing everything from top to bottom, start to finish. I already got it mapped out.
So you already thought of the harmonies, the ad-libs.
Everything.
I remember you posted a story, I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago, and I think it was an ad-lib. He was like, nah, I want you to move that to the... And a lot of people don't understand, like me being somebody who's made music and everything, a lot of people just look at it, oh, whatever. But that stuff really
the little things, man.
Yeah, it's like I need an echo on this at the right time. But all that stuff is very important to it. Yeah, it is, man. I be paying attention. I can tell. Like I'm like, this brother is really, really in it for the realness and the rawness. He ain't making music just because that's the thing to do. But you really love it.
Oh yeah, I love it, man. Like I'm a huge music theory fan. I played the trumpet for 8 years. As a teen and a kid. So it hits different when I'm in the studio. Like I'm with my homie, shout out to Eddie J. We go back like 13, 14 years when it comes down to music. And Mitch, and I'm with the engineer side by side, and I'm like, hey, can you scoot my vocals over like half a second and then like shift the pitch by like just a tiny bit? And then I'm like, oh, no. Okay, yeah, bring it down like halfway.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, no, up it a little bit. Okay, perfect. All right, on to the next one. So this one, can you like lower the pitch, but like shift? I need this octave. And oh yeah, it's way deeper than just making music. Now this is like actual science.
Yeah.
It's a whole...
It's literally engineering.
Method. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's the creation of something.
Yeah.
It's the idea, and you bring it from a practical, just an idea, and you bring it to reality. So
Exactly.
I only imagine to have a song that you had in your head. You remember what Vanilla Bean sounded like before you even press record on the at the studio. Mm-hmm. So you already had the beat. You already was humming the and
every day before the studio.
And then you. I'm sure you was humming it as you was going through the studio. I just wanna see. And then you got in there. He was like, "Okay, press record. Let's do this joint."
Yeah.
And now to see videos of it, crazy.
It's wild. And the most interesting thing about my process is I can have everything mapped out. Studio session happens. I always take it back to the crib, and then I listen to it like a good 10 to 20 times. And then I map out everything that needs to improve. I'm like, okay, this can scoot over. This pitch could change. This could be deleted. This could be added. Another studio session happens. And then I take it back. Okay, another 10 to 20 times. This can be edited. This could be changed, and this could be deleted. So the average song is like 2 to 3 sessions, not just one. Vanilla Bean took 5 sessions because I'm like, this needs constant tweaks. This can still use some changes. I'm like, okay. This can improve. This can move over. This can be deleted. So by the time they hit the 5th session, and I never forget being on Azimuth off 52nd and Keystone or 56th and Keystone, and then it hit me. I'm like, that's it. And then I sat back like that's what I heard. This is what I heard 6 months ago.
That's hard.
Yeah, boom, that was it. And never forget it dropping, and then it didn't even instantly go viral. And that wasn't even the goal. I was just like, yo, this is just going to be something that people like, 2.5, 3 months later after it got released.
Boom. That's a message for the artist even right there. I think people will get discouraged when they drop something and don't hit right away. It's like, I ain't making no music no more.
Yeah, exactly.
I ain't releasing no podcast no more.
Yeah, exactly.
I ain't doing no shirts no more. I'm not spending my gift no more. At what cost? Like, do you love it for real, for real? Do you love it really? I remember having a conversation with somebody, and they were like, how long is it going to take for my stuff to pop or for people to see me? I told them, I was like, however long it takes. That's how long it's going to take. And if you love it, you love it. So you're going to do it regardless.
That part.
So don't need, you can, that's how long it take, but how long it take it for what? If you really in it for the love, you actually in there like creating from your heart, you just gonna keep doing it anyways. Yeah. And I be having to remind myself that because I get discouraged.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, man, why? I'm doing all this work, all this editing, because I don't even think people knows how much goes in behind like a podcast or running the brand or whatever. Oh, yeah. I haven't done nothing with somebody in about 2 years, 2-3 years. So I'm like, I don't even know. People ask me every week, when you dropping the next shirt? When you coming out with some more merch? When you doing some more I Am Somebody videos? And to me, I'm like, oh, this actually does have value. And people are actually tuning into this stuff, which is pretty cool. But in the moment I was doing it, I'm like, don't no one care about this. I ain't getting no likes on that last post. These people, they ain't buy this in my last drop. But patience and the continuing through, that's where the results comes. And to just get back to the why and the reason of doing it, you're not going to let the current results stop you from experiencing the future results. And if you give up, you ain't never going to see it. I always use the gym. Ever since I fell in love with the gym, I can't believe I'm saying that. But ever since I fell in love with the gym, I'm like, oh, it makes sense. It makes sense. Last year, I couldn't bench 135. Last week, I maxed out at 285.
Hey, congrats!
Oh, thank you.
Come on, man.
But that's what comes with. I started thinking, but what was it that I was doing in the gym that I could also mirror in my actual life? That starts with discipline. You showing up every day regardless how you feel. I don't want to go today, but you committed to it because you want to see some results. So discipline, education. What was I doing wrong this time that I couldn't actually, push and do what I should have been doing when I first started? Or not what I should have, but what I could have been doing. So learning how to do certain things. So you got to have discipline, you got to have education, commitment. You are committed to this journey, which makes discipline easier. because you couldn't have discipline if you weren't committed. You wouldn't want to learn if you weren't committed. So having those education, discipline, commitment, and then just patience, continuing. My granddad told me, he's a pastor. I remember one sermon he's preaching. He said, patience is the ability to wait without murmuring or complaining. So that's that ability to say, regardless of where I am right now, I'm going to keep going. Regardless of how hard it is right now, I'm going to keep going. Regardless of how good it is right now, I'm going to keep going. Because I'm not experiencing the results that I hope to experience yet. And as I'm going through it, I may say, ouch. Like that soreness may come. Yeah. I might be like, dang, my back hurt today because I tweaked it yesterday. But guess what? I'm going to keep going. And through it all, I might say a little complaint and I should, slap myself on the hand when I do it. But I'm going to keep going. And I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to murmur because I know the results come through the work. And if you want the results, you got to do the work. Come on. Don't expect no results if you're not doing the work. Come on. Thanks. Right? Don't come in here complaining and saying stuff like, I hate this. I'm not doing this no more. If you're not going to do the work, if you're not committed to it. So become committed to something. And as you get committed to it, you keep pushing. You keep going in the studio doing them tracks. You keep saying, this not how, it don't sound how I want it to sound. I just have to book another session so I can make it sound how I want it. And that's, somebody in the Middle East playing your song saying, thank you for helping me through this hard time. That's how it happens. I tell you how it don't happen. You give up. You say nobody cares anyway, so why should I keep doing this in the first place? That's how it's never going to happen. You're never going to touch that person in the Middle East. That person in Mexico never going to say thank you for sharing your art with me. That person in your own city never going to ask you to come to that event because you stopped and they didn't even see you.
And I think another thing that people need to understand, and this is tough, we not good all the time. We got to be honest. Like, hey, I never forget, bro. I keep it real with you. When I first dropped music, it was 2 songs. I'm like, hey, I'm about to tear everybody up with these 2. I'm like, hey, this is gonna be fire. Everybody gonna vibe with it and like it. 2 listens in 2 months. I said, dang, I'm trash. I said, I'm trash. I'm like, what's going on, man? I had to keep it real, and I had to sit back, and I'm like, hold up. How can I get better? And I'm like, okay, let me be fully honest. These tracks weren't even mastered. I didn't understand the science behind how powerful the voice can be, like how I can mesh with the instrumental that I'm writing. Like I gotta up my writing game. Like I gotta see things from not my perspective, but a crowd perspective. So I'm not operating out of like pride and ego.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like when I'm doing all this self-reflection, I'm like, you know what? Dang, this is way deeper than just me. I can get better. And I kept it real with myself. And to understand that everybody has untapped potential. You got to work on yourself to realize how much of the untapped potential that you have. Imagine the first time you started lifting weights. You like, you know what? I could do better. I'm going to get better. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to learn. I'm going to do a couple of tweaks. I'm going to get my position right. I'm going to get my diet right. I'm going to get these proteins. So it's a whole bunch of things that people got to understand. They're like, bro, you could be way better than where you're at. You just got to keep going.
Yeah.
It's okay to make some changes. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to change your posture. It's okay to learn. It's okay to put your pride aside. It's okay to have some mentors. It's okay to listen to people. It's okay to understand other people's perspective that's in your same field that you can learn from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It hits different, bro.
Just don't give up.
Don't give up. Because you're not going to get none of that.
Not going to get none of it.
You can't blame nobody but yourself.
Because you are in control.
Exactly.
You are in control.
It's your life, your journey.
This might be my favorite episode yet. Not going to lie.
Right on. So question, why?
It feels very genuine. Some conversations are forced.
It's real.
Your openness to share who you are, what you've experienced, and you have a sensitive spirit, and I can feel that. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just powerful. I think maybe I can say it's my favorite episode. I can also say because of how I feel right now. You know what I mean?
How do you feel? I know this feels like. How do you feel?
Sensitive. So I feel everything. When Kendrick had that bar in his last song on Mr. Morale, he said, or not his last, the second last, I'm sensitive, I feel everything, I feel everybody. One man standing on 2 words, heal everybody. That's how I be feeling. And then another song in the album, he said, what did he say? I choose me, I'm sorry. That's one of those songs. And he said something about, I can't even heal myself. Thought a new car would help. I also feel that. The constant journey of trying to heal myself. Going to people, going to God, going to my talents and gifts, and still feeling empty in the end. But everything we just talked about the past 10 minutes, understanding not to give up. Because even we had another idea of the gym. Growth happens on that last rep when you feel like you can't push no more.
Just keep going.
There's one phrase they use all the time in gym culture: push to failure.
And it's that resistance.
It's that resistance.
Just take another extra breath, or just lock in, focus even more. And it's tough because it's easy to give up. It's easy to give up because it's a new level of being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And is you willing to push past that?
Yeah.
It's a reward on
and
the
it's
other
like,
side.
look, it's like you pushing the failure on 225 when you couldn't do 135.
Exactly.
So it's a different level of pushing the failure. Mm-hmm. And it don't mean that you're not strong, but it means that you're getting stronger.
Yeah, exactly.
Because beauty happens on the other side of pain. And if you want to experience beauty, you're going to have to go through that pain.
And that's why people self-sabotage, because it's a new level.
Yeah. So it's like, understand that. It's that unknown.
Yeah.
But as you walk in the new level, a light also gets spread, especially if you're the light. So that's how I feel.
That's real.
That's how I feel. Thanks for asking.
Oh, that's all I love, bro.
Thanks for being here. I hope that this episode blesses the people as much as it has blessed me. And I hope that it blesses you as well, as much as it blessed me. I pray that people tap in to you. I think that you're just but I know that you're a dope human being. You're a smooth brother. Like I said, you have a sensitive spirit that I could tell you actually really care about people. And I hope and I pray that you don't change. And if you do change, you change for the better. Thanks for being here, brother.
Appreciate you. And one last thing, I want to give you your roses. Thank you for creating a platform that really taps into people's side, that from an audience perspective, they see them more as human instead of what they do. A lot of people are identified by what they provide and give, but let's see more of what people are, what makes them who they are. We live in a day and age to where it's accessibility and instant gratification. But let's really tap deeper into who you listening to, who you talking to, the artist, the painter, the choreographer. All these fields, we human at the end of the day. So thank you for taking a deeper dive into who we are as people.
Absolutely.
For real. Appreciate you.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Journey Up Podcast. I pray that you guys have a continued good life and a good week. And hopefully I see you guys next time. Peace.